So my name is Meir Mendelovich. I'm working on OMS security. In the next hour and 15 minutes, I will do a quick intro and we'll show you what we have and what we have in the product and what we are going to have in the short future. So it's really nice being here and being able to watch. It's the first time since we GA'd that we are able to talk publicly and show you all the stuff. I will try to put as much demos as I can, and feel free also to interact. I promise to find time slots for you to ask your questions. So the topic is OMS security, and it is important to remind ourselves why we deal with security. So security for many years was like a burden for the IT, and no one wanted to deal with that, or it was something of a small group of people in the security office that they were the only one dealing with security. But that's not the situation today. And this is why we think the situation has changed in the last few years. So first of all, the number of security threats is rising. Now, it's not just rising, but it's also targeting everyone. I remember the days, I'm on the team for about 9 years. I'm a forefront veteran, and I remember the days where I went to organization and they said, come on, it's not that problem for us. No one wants to hack us. We don't have anything important. And I think that the last few years showed us that, one, people want to hack you. Two, I'm sure that you have something important on your servers. And three, even if you just have your own stuff there, ransomware is a good enough reason to be worried about. So for many years, the solution of everyone was anti-malware. I have anti-malware, that's fine, and firewall. So it was like a long list of 2 items, and if you checked these 2, you were sure. But the environments are getting also more complex, and this is not enough. It's not just the attacker get more complex, it's also the environment. So we see today, servers are all around. You have your on-prem environment, and I know that there are people claiming that the on-prem would be gone, and we all know that that's not going to happen anytime soon. It's true, all the new stuff is going to the cloud, and we do lots of stuff in the cloud, but the on-prem is here, and we need to protect it. And then we have the cloud, but cloud is not a single item. It's more of a plural item. Now, I know that all of you love Azure. I love it as well. I think it's the best cloud. But even in Azure, if you're an Azure user, your organization, if it's big enough, you have several different deployments. And I heard the rumor that there are also teams that are using cloud services that are not Azure. Boo. Now, but they are. And we are the IT operations, and we are the IT security. We need to secure them. We need to make sure that everything is OK, because our data might be there. So the environments are not environments we used to have. So we have a firewall, but most of our stuff is outside of our firewall. And last but not least thing that is changing is that it is very hard to find good security people. Security is not like a very common thing to have, and it's very expensive to employ people. So in the past, we had these methods, I call them brute force. Brute force security, security by brute force. Meaning that you had a system that was identifying like 100 threats a day, and you employed a small army of people that were sifting through these threats and taking through. And the true positive rate was huge. So you need to really have a lot of people looking at all this data just to do like the basic security, and it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore because now I have not 100 threats a day, I have 1,000 threats a day. And also, it's very hard to retain the people that really deal with security. So we need to find different methods. Now, in Microsoft, we took this as a mission for ourselves as a company. So Satya was talking about that a year ago, and I saw that Scott Guthrie and Brad Anderson were talking about it yesterday. We are investing heavily in security across the company. So when we look at security investments, we look at the domains. So we have investments on data security. We have investments in applications, in endpoints, in identity. And the topic that we are going to talk about today is the data center. Now, there is not one catch-all in this game, because your identity might be located here, and your applications might be, let's say, in a different cloud, in a SaaS provider, and the devices are BYOD devices that you don't care about. So it's not one front, it's not one silver bullet that would solve everything. You need to protect all the steps in the way. So what is OMS security? OMS security is a solution on top of OMS that allow you to collect all your security data, to analyze it, because just getting all this data is not enough, and then to get high-level insights on that. Now, we would drill down on these three pillars throughout the session. I would show it to you, I would demo it to you, and give you all the details about them. It is important, again, I would say, that our focus is the hybrid data center, because there is no on-prem anymore. There is no single company that have only on-prem. And there would be no single company that would do only cloud. Everyone are doing both in multiple instances and stuff like that. I was meeting one of the highly secured banks in the world, in Europe, European bank, and he said to me, listen, my regulator hates the cloud. There is no chance I'll be to the cloud. But there is a team in marketing that is doing Salesforce, and there is a team in sales in this country that is doing, that spins several machines here and several machines there. So there is no one organization today, even today as we speak, that have no assets in the cloud and no assets on-prem. And this is our focus. So why OMS? Why do we have these things together, operations and security? There are several different reasons for that. So each one of the pillars that I just mentioned is overlapping between operations and security. So first of all, it is about the same people. So I talk to customers, and they tell me that, listen, we are the IT operations. We are in charge of this data center. It's true we are not the security team, but I don't want my data center to cause a data leakage. When your company would be leaking 500,000 passwords, you don't want to be responsible for that. And it's true, you're not the security person. The second thing is that it's basically using the same set of data. So you have security data that is not logs, and you have logs that are not security. But the majority of the thing is overlapping. There is huge overlap between operations data and security data. And also when it comes to the insights, and also when it comes to the analysis, it's about the same thing. Because if you see a problem with a server, the problem might be because someone was hacking this server and is now using it to mine Bitcoins. By the way, this is a common scenario. We see it all the time. But it also might be because something is wrong with the CPU. And you have a problem with this server that the IT operations want to deal with. So we are always in this point where you have this overlap. And when you have companies that sells you pure security or pure operations, you're creating a silo. It might work in the old days, but today it doesn't work anymore. You need everything in one place, and you want to correlate this stuff. I would talk about it, I would mention it a few times throughout the session. Updating the servers is the most important security measure you can do. We see the majority of the attacks that we see could be solved only if the servers were patched. By the way, this is especially true for your mobile phones, but keep that aside. So just patching the server, which is pure operation thing, has enormous security considerations. And if we don't take care of that, that's a problem. So our belief, our take, is that we need to put all of them in one place. There is no security solution that doesn't have an operations aspect, and there is no operation that doesn't have security aspects. So let's go throughout these three pillars, and I would get into the details about each one of them. And for each one of them, we would also do a quick demo that shows in action. So the first one is the collection. Now, there are many solutions out there that allow you to collect logs. I talk all the time to customers, and they all tell me, yes, I'm collecting the logs. And then ask them, is it usable? Do you do anything with that? Usually the answer is, yes, if my auditor is coming, I can go to this warehouse and pull this tape and get this record, which is, I'm sure it's true. But it's definitely not good enough for today. So what the second thing they tell me is that, yes, we collect the logs. We connected this piece of software to this piece of software. We have this server here that stores the logs. And then every few hours, we have something getting them in. I'm sure that if I go to your data center, I would find something convoluted like that, which is fine, but not good enough. We believe that stuff should work out of the box. And if you just install OMS security, you automatically start collecting the logs. You just need to put the OMS agent, and you are good to go. There is nothing more you need to do. You don't need to set up forwarders. You don't need to define complex stuff. Now, OMS agent is one option. Another option that I think is pretty popular here is using SCOM. So if you have System Center Operations Management, you can very easily configure it to send the data to OMS. And now all SCOM agents are practically also OMS agents. So you don't need to install anything. And this is also something very important from the overlap between operations and security, because OMS is much more than security. So you have the same agent. So now through the same agent, you can also do backup. You can also do automation, but you are doing security. So instead of having this agent nightmare where you need to install all these things and configure them, you have it all in one place, in one easy installation. And you know Microsoft loves Linux. I don't much, but don't tell anyone. So we have agents for Windows and for Linux. And we try as much as we can to make Linux a first-class citizen in the ecosystem. So first of all, in Windows, we are collecting the security logs and the app locker logs, and we are collecting few other logs that are rarely used, but have a lot of value. With Linux, we currently allow you to collect the hostpriv using syslog. And we are going to support ODDs very soon. So this is something that would come in the next couple of weeks. And you would be able to collect your ODD data, which is the most reliable thing and reliable way to collect stuff. Even more than that, we would release, as part of the Linux agent, we would release the ability to configure your ODD to collect the important security stuff. So ODD could be like a big junkyard of logs. You can grow up for huge quantity. And our security researchers were writing a recommendation for you guys what to collect there. And you can turn this on through the Linux agent. Another thing you can do, it's optional, of course. You can take any security solution that you have out there and collect it to OMS. Now, I'm sure that if I go to your data centers, I would find all these boxes. And even if I go to your virtual data centers, I would find all these vendors coming from all these vendors doing security stuff. So you have probably firewalls and IDS, and you have all a web application firewall and all this stuff. And you have many, many vendors. Each one of them have their own logs. And you have all these logs stored somewhere, but in a silo. And we believe there is huge value in bringing all of them together to one place where you can correlate stuff. So if you're looking for a specific IP address, you can see all the firewall session it relates to that. You can see WAF logs related to that. And you can see if the IDS system tells you something about this user. At the same time, you can see the logins to this machine and all the other stuff. So the way to do this is to use Ceph. Ceph stands for Common Event Format. Most security vendors support that. It's a very easy way, and we collect it through syslogs. This is a new functionality. We announced it just this week. So that's brand new in the product. Now, there are very few vendors that doesn't support Ceph. One of them is Cisco. And we wrote a specific add-on to be able to parse Cisco logs as well. So if you know, Cisco logs are just like strings containing unstructured data. So what we have, we wrote rules that parse them and normalize them to the same structure. So you have in one place all these logs. But again, we want to make it useful. So to make it useful, we also index it and allow you to quickly search it and extract and normalize all the records. But that's not good enough. We want to be better. And to be better, we are also enriching the data. We are looking for malicious IP addresses in your data. So you might have a firewall, and at the time, and even if your firewall have this threat intelligence module where you block malicious IP addresses, it might not have enough data in real time, or it's not up to the date. So when we extract the Ceph records, we are also enriching them with data on malicious addresses, and we also add the geolocation so you can search this nicely on the map. And the nice thing about that, we are a cloud service. And the cloud is so powerful. And you know, maybe I'm stating the obvious, but it takes time to remember, to think about that and understand the magnitude that it brings to the table. So first of all, scale. When you use OMS security, you don't need to think about scale. You can just add machines. You don't need to do anything. I was talking to a CISO in a large organization. He told me that the one thing that bothered him this month was a huge storage POR that he needed to send. He needed to acquire a lot of storage for his servers. With OMS security, you don't need to take care of that. Now, the problem doesn't go away. We have to do that. And we have quite a lot of people dealing with that, installing new disks, replacing the old ones, and taking care of around networking and certificate and all this stuff. The problem doesn't go away, but we are doing that for you and allow you to focus on what you are really good at. You're good at operations, you're good at security. So deal with that and not with acquiring of storage and installing it and changing the disk, and find a location in your data center, all this stuff. And we are doing this in a global way. Today, OMS in general and OMS security is deployed in 4 different regions: US, Europe, Southeast Asia, and Australia. We are working to add more and more servers and sites and locations. And we give you all of this with high availability and backup and all that stuff, so that you don't need to take care about all this technicality. You don't need to take care about where you store the logs and where you store the tapes with all of this. We are taking that for you. We have teams that are working 24/7 to make sure that everything is working fine. And last but definitely not least is that you don't need to upgrade or update the service ever. And again, the problem doesn't go away. We take care of that. And you know, sometimes I'm talking to people about future versions and future features and about the fact that we need to do something small. And they ask me, why it take you so long? So long, like a month or 2. And I tell them that every small thing we are doing, we need to make sure that it gets to this scale, that it gets to all the customers. And you don't need to think anymore about what versions you're running and about compatibility. Now, I watched some of the competition. They have these cloud services, but at the end of the day, they just spin you a machine, and you need to upgrade it, to update it. You need to scale it or whatever it is. With OMS security, you don't have all of this. And the effect of all of this is that you don't need to take care about all this technicality. You can focus on the right thing. So if your day now consists of 50% taking care of all the technicalities and 50% doing operations and security, you can focus yourself only on operations and security. Now, I'm sure that you have enough to do in this space, but that would be much more better use that would be a better use of your time instead of taking care of all of this. And the other side effect is that it's also super easy to deploy. We have inside the team the slogan from 0 to security hero in less than an hour. So we have it on the slides. It's a scenario. It's the name of a theme inside the team. And I thought, I can stand here and talking to you and tell you how easy it is. But instead of that, tomorrow, I would take you through that. So I spinned up a tiny data center, and I would show you how I secure it and get all the stuff that we show here today from 0 in less than an hour. And of course, if all of you would pray for the demo gods that everything would work fine, the network and all the things. So come and check me tomorrow, and hopefully everything would work fine. And I will show you how in less than an hour you can get up and running. Now, the nice and important thing here for you is that the barrier to get this thing working for you is very low. That means that if in the past you need to go to the security division, you need to go to procurement, you don't need that anymore. After you come back from Ignite, you just need few hours, and you can start with the free tier. OMS have a free tier. You don't need to pay anything. You don't need to go to procurement. You start to spin this, and you see the value immediately. And it also means that in the past, we had just one guy in the company that controlled everything because it was very hard to do. Now, today, you don't need to go through that. So if you're running a small data center, you don't need to wait for the central security team to get up and running. You can get it up and running yourself. It's super easy. And again, take my word for that. See me tomorrow. I would probably be more sweating than today, trying to make this in less than an hour. So I would show you up quickly before we continue. Just, OK. Oh. So this is OMS security. As I said, it's part of the OMS suite. You go here on the overview. Every tile here stands for a solution in OMS, and security is one of them. There is a gallery here where you install that. So if you have OMS today and you don't have security, you just go here, and you add it to your solution. Now, what you see here basically is a dashboard that we built for you. Now, this is the facade of the security solution, but this is not entire security solution. In the rest of the session, I would drill down on each one of these items. But behind each one of these items, there is the richness of OMS. So if I go here, you see I want to see all the security data I have. I can go up very quickly and see that. I have this search mechanism, which is pretty simple. In a couple of hours, you would be expert in that. So let's see how many security events I have in my system, in my small tenant. I just searched now, you see, 847K records. These are just Windows security events that I'm collecting. And you can take a look at each one of them. So you have all this richness, and you can filter that as much as you want, and you can drill down in each one of them. You want to see only specific machine, and you see I'm down to 100,000 records. And if you want to see execution of PowerShell, it is here, and we can practically drill down and to see the command, the exact command. Let's look at the process execution, and we have here event ID 4688. And I can now look at the execution of a specific PowerShell command, and you actually can see the parameters and everything going on. So this is the level of this is the beginning of what you can do with this data. As you can see, the query is quite simple. You can start with just property equals value. You can also do free text search. So if I do just PowerShell, you can And you see how quick it is? Oh, sorry. So you can see how quick it is going through all my records and getting the relevant data that you want. Think about this powerful. Someone is calling you asking, tell me user XYZ is doing something. How can I look up what this user is doing? Think about what effort you went in the past or you are today doing just to find out this simple thing. How much time would it take you to find out which admins logged into a specific server today? I'm sure that more than what it takes me to write the name of the server in the search query and type event ID equals 4624. Or using the filters here to find that out. So as you see, we are using the full power of OMS. Now, the full power of OMS is not just the search. We can also turn everything here into alerts. And alerts is a mechanism that allows you to, if you want to send emails, you can send a webhook. So if you want to connect OMS to your on-prem system or to a legacy system or whatever it is, you have this mechanism. You just send a JSON over HTTP to whatever system you're building there. Now we have, and this is another new thing we announced this week, we have integration with ServiceNow, with Cherwell, with Provence. We allow you to open support tickets. So you can open them automatically from OMS. You can convert everything you see here into an incident ticket. And this is, again, the tandem play between operations and security, because most chances is that not all your organization is working on OMS and they have their own systems. And you'll also be able to run runbooks directly from the alerts and achieve a very cool way to do automation and a very simple one. You can also export this data to Excel or to any other system that knows how to read CSV, basically everything. You can do nice Power BI dashboards if you want to show your management stuff that is going on. And again, this is a live thing. This is not just copy-pasting the data. And then the system is actually open, because the data is yours, it's not ours. So we give you all the tools we can to allow you to work with this data. So we have APIs. We have APIs to ingest data. If you want to ingest whatever, like I was talking to a customer that was ingesting the physical access system into OMS. So whenever someone is swiping their tag to get through a door, the record is going all the way to OMS. So you can write using an API whatever ingestion you want. You can also pull this in. So if you have a legacy system on-prem and you want to connect it to OMS, you can also write an integration code like that. The APIs are very, very standard REST and over HTTP. For the PowerShell lovers, there is a wrapper for PowerShell. I'm using it. It's great. And we are also allow you to collect all the kind of unstructured data. So basically, whatever data you have, you can put it inside OMS using APIs. And there is also this special low collector, which can pick up files from your system. Very cool feature. I wouldn't be able to show it to you right now, but you can take almost every piece of data, structured, unstructured, and whatever it is. And you can also build your own dashboards. So the dashboard we build is something that's generic, something that works for us, and we are talking to customers. We are always expanding that. But that's not the end of the story. You can build your own stuff in OMS, and you can write your own custom dashboard. Now, I will give you one example. We have one big customer that is highly secured, and they decided to hunt NTLM. You know what NTLM here? Yeah? So it's unbelievable how much NTLM still exists in systems, and NTLM is insecure by default. You cannot really secure NTLM, and this company decided to hunt all the NTLM and eliminate it from their system. So they built, yeah, I see people here nodding. Yeah, I know it's a very tough and only very secure organization can go through this. So they built their own dashboard. So now they have all the application, the name of the exe file sending NTLM. They have all servers. And they turned it into a Power BI, so every time they go to their VP, they're showing him the number. Now the number is, I would spoiler, it's not 0, yeah? But it's much lower than it was. And there is a whole team that when they come up in the morning, they just look at this dashboard. And this is the kind of thing that we as a product group that builds a solution for all of you cannot do. Because we cannot imagine what you guys want to do with your data. So go ahead and you can build your own stuff on top of that. And if you do this, tell me about what you did, because we like to learn and we like to see what other people are doing. So let's get back, and I would show you some of this stuff very quickly. So let's say I want to get an alert for a specific process execution. So I would do event ID 4688, my favorite. And on the left side here, you have the filters. So let's find something really rare down here. Here we have, we have, anyone have a proposal? What is NGEN task? Okay. So we have 18 execution of that. So now let's build an alert for that. So I go up, I just clicked on alert. I can give it a name. And now I can decide the severity level and what's the frequency of testing. Let's say I don't want to test it all the time, I want just every 1 hour. And then I want to see if it's more than 18. Like if it's 18, I'm fine. But if it's getting larger, I want to know about that. And I can also suppress succeeding alerts so I don't get all the time. So if I get in the next 24 hours, I don't want to get too many emails. Okay, so what is an alert? What it's doing? First of all, by default, everyone have email. But I know that your inbox is full, so let's do better things. So we can connect it with a webhook. So basically, you can send that you get a JSON over HTTP to whatever system you're building. There is a whole mechanism here. You can customize also the JSON and all that stuff. I would not get into the details. Then you can you can execute a runbook. And this runbook can do either like going through, collect more data, or it can remediate the stuff if you have that. So whatever you have in mind, runbook at the end of the day, it's a PowerShell script that you can run on 1 server, 10 server, 1,000 server, or whatever it is. And the new capability that I mentioned, you can open service desk action. So my tenant is now connected to my ServiceNow deployment. So I can decide if I want to make it security incident. And now I can type, I can give it all the details, blah, blah, blah. You have full flexibility here. You can say, see why this process was executed. And here you go. So now you, as the operation guys or the security team, can interact with your peers in a highly automated way. Now, at the beginning, you would work a lot with the search, and you would get inside of the dashboard all the time. But over time, we hope that you would be able to automate this way a lot of the stuff that you are doing. From here, you can also turn every request into the Power BI data source. And again, this is a data source. It's not like a static thing. It's not like export and import into Power BI. You define that as a data source, and then your dashboard would be updated all the time. So when your VP is logging into Power BI, they would be able to see this. And of course, you can save and mark as favorite and all the usual stuff. Sorry for that. So, okay. So that was about the collection. And this is a lot of power. I actually see companies doing only that. But we don't stop there. We provide you all the tools to analyze the data in a much more high-level way than that. And we also provide you tools that assess your security posture and give you a very, very summarized view of what's going on. So built in, out of the box, you have these 4 assessment tools. So first of all, update. And as I said, I would repeat about that. That's the most important thing you need to do. I go to companies and they see that they have servers that were not patched for years because no one have the credentials and stuff. Now, by the way, OMS have an amazing tool also to make sure that the servers are patched all the time. But at least you should have the visibility. And then you have also anti-malware, where we present to you the state of the anti-malware server, the anti-malware on the servers. It's not a replacement for your anti-malware console. We don't want to go there. But we want you to have this data in OMS. So you can have all these mechanisms working on the anti-malware data. So you can send alerts and all that stuff. And very importantly, when you are analyzing a server and you want to see what's going on with this server, you can see what the anti-malware is doing from the same place. So from within OMS, you have all the data you need to investigate your security issues. The next one is about baseline. Microsoft issues security configuration baseline for Windows for years. We are doing this. We have a committee that every time we release a server product, the committee goes out and there is an argument, usually take them several months, to come with a list of configuration items that defines the most secure Windows Server deployments out there. Now, spoiler, no one gets to 100, yes? To 100% of that. Maybe the servers in the nuclear submarine somewhere. I hope they are. But for all the rest of you, it is a wonderful benchmark to see where you're standing on. What configuration you need to change. And believe me, if you want to answer questions like, in which server have this and that auditing policy, this gives you the result in a second, and I will show it to you. Now, I mentioned Windows. We are getting baseline also for Linux pretty soon. This is a very frequent request we have. And we know that organization, it's very hard for them to deal with the Linux deployments out there and all the configuration. The knowledge is problematic. And again, everything we are doing in Linux is multi-deployment, multi-distribution. So we are working on that, and we would release it. Last but not least is the identity assessment. So what we are taking all the login data that you have on your servers and show it to you in one place. Now, most chances your servers are not domain. You probably have a lot of servers that are not domain joined. So your Active Directory will not show anything on them. And I'm pretty sure that if I go to this server, I look at the local admins, I would find interesting stuff there, right? Because over the years, this guy asked to do this thing, and this guy wanted to log in and to install this thing, and you have all of them out there. So we would see this. So let's see all these assessments as much as we would have time. So we'd get back into the security and audit solution. And most of the assessments are here on the left side. So you have the anti-malware assessment. I would drill down into the update assessment. Here we show you all your servers, and we show you which updates are missing. You see that I'm pretty good admin. Contoso 77 is a very simple company. I'm also the CEO, the admin, the HR company, the HR department. So if you want to work for Contoso 77, let me know. And you see, I'm a pretty good player with that. But believe me, in real life, it never looks like that. And as you can see, I'm not a very good Linux admin. So I have still work to do on my Linux deployments. I have stuff missing there. Now, again, everything here that we show in the dashboard, behind of that, you can go to the actual data. So if you want to look at my Ubuntu and what critical stuff I was missing, you just click on that. You can have it in a graphical way, or you can drill into the actual records. So I can see that this one is Ubuntu 14.04, and the missing stuff is the Ubuntu update here. See, it's base file. It's part of the OS. So you can see all this data. And let's say I'm not really, again, I'm not a very good Linux admin. So I can just export this and open this in Excel and send it to the Linux admin and tell him, hey, guy, can you really help me with that? Can you get these servers up and running? Now, of course, this is not, I would never send him to them in Excel. This is CSV file. Even Linux can open CSV file. Yep. So let's get back here. Let's get back to the security. So I mentioned the baseline. So just out of curiosity, how many of you have a solution that is testing the baseline today in your server data center? I see a few fingers. So actually, I showed this when it was in preview to a company that told me that they had 7,000 servers. And they said me, bring it to me tomorrow because I'm getting crazy. Every time I have someone deploying something, they want to test themselves and see if they are up and running, and we cannot handle this thing. So this view actually shows you all the servers that are evaluated. You can see how many rules they failed, and again, no one gets 200, but you can see which one are the outliers that you want to take care of. You can also take a look at the views. Now, I know that sometimes this looks cryptic, so you can just click on every one of them. So this is, for example, the UAC settings. You can click on them, and then you get the full data on what should be configured. Why this is important. And again, we are not forcing everything. You can see this, and you can decide for yourself if this is the right thing for your organization, or if you want to ignore that. So you have all the data you want right here. And of course, you can just go to the actual machine, and you can see the raw results. So I can see that this rule setting should be enabled, but it's actually 1. So again, this is yours. You can go up and do your things here. So there is a question on how you review them. So you can review them on the tool, and you can also export them to Excel or do whatever you want with that. So it's basically your data. The results of all the assessments is stored in OMS as another record type. So if you paid close attention, you can see that it's called baseline. Every rule is called type security baseline. And the result, the summary of the entire machine in each execution is called the security baseline summary. So we have all these records. Also, if your company is going through auditing and all that stuff, you have this in the system. So you can have a track record of what's going on with every server. I found it very useful. I wanted to find which of my machines have specific auditing policy. And most chances you have this auditing policy as a baseline rule, so just like looked at the specific baseline along many, many servers and got the result. The last assessment I would show you is the identity. So we just pull all the identity information from the server. Identity, it's basically the login information from all the servers and show it up to you. Now, I promise you, the first time you do this, you would do like, oh, what's going on here? So, you know, Microsoft have quite a few servers, and the Microsoft IT deployed that on these several thousand servers. And the first time we showed it to them, they looked at the list of failed users and say, what the heck is going on here? And that was a very short meeting because they started to talk between themselves, and they found that there is a process that they replicated several thousand times across the company that has a hard-coded username and password, and the password was changed. So you have all this stuff, and this creates really, really big noise in the system. But you are able now to see that. No one knew about that. It was overloading the servers. You can see here all the kinds of stuff that is going on. Now, if you have servers that are directly exposed to the internet, especially in a public cloud, you would see a lot of failed login here for admin, administrator, and all that kind of stuff. Every cloud have that because it's so cheap to run something on the internet that goes and scan all the servers, all the IP addresses, and look for and try to log in as admin and administrator. It's so common. Every customer has them. I will show you more tools to deal with that. And then you can see here which servers have a lot of most identity stuff into them. So how we do all of these assessments, the method that we are doing, and as I said, we have this smart agent. It doesn't just collect the logs. So other than the identity, which is based on log, the other ones are having a code that is executed every 12 hours, every 24 hours, and they test all this stuff on the server. So you don't need to have a tool that tests baseline and a tool that does this and a tool that does that. You have the agent, and the agent gives you all the data in one place. Now, it doesn't stop here. We have more assessments. We have more assessments in OMS that are optional. You can install them, you can use them, you cannot use them, whatever you want. We, right now in OMS, have something that goes through Active Directory and search for like several hundred of best practices in Active Directory, misconfiguration and all that stuff, and gives you the result, including security data inside. And we would surface this inside the OMS security. How we get all these best practices? Very basically. The guys that wrote this working for Microsoft support team. So every time there is a support call and someone has something with the Active Directory, the support engineer writes an article. What should have been done to prevent it? And this is how we document that. And now we are able to test this against your system and give it to you in a very, very nice way. Very highly recommended. We also have the same thing for SQL servers. And we are working to add more and more assessments like that to OMS. So expect to see more of them coming for more type of workloads. Another solution that just came up last month is a solution to grab all the logs from your DNS servers, DHCP, and IP address infrastructure. It is called DDI. So now you probably have a lot of logs on your DNS servers, and these logs have a lot of valuable information. And there are lots of other type of assessment you want to do there. So go ahead and take a look at this DDI. And we would have many more solutions coming in this area. Another thing that we are doing in a little bit different way than the industry is threat intelligence. Now, if you type in your favorite search engine, I admit I'm a Microsoft guy, use Bing. You type threat intelligence, you would find a lot of vendors that tell you, come, buy our own solution. You would find a lot of solutions to manage the threat intelligence feed. And in the end of the day, what you have when you get it, you have a long list of IP addresses that are malicious. But now what you're doing with this list? Interesting. It has no value unless you cross-correlate it with your logs. So I know I was sitting with a guy, and he's like the master developer of all of the world, and he said, yeah, I wrote a script that takes this feed and correlate it with this log, and it goes here, and the result goes there. Yeah, it's possible, but it's super complex. With OMS security, you get this out of the box. We are working with the leading threat intelligence vendors out there and bring all this data into OMS, all the raw data. This is constantly updated stream of IP addresses and also other stuff. And we update it every hour. So every hour on every OMS ingestion server out there, we completely refresh this entire list of IP addresses. And the reason we are doing that is because we are taking this and cross-correlate it with your logs. So when you have a log coming from, let's say, the Ceph data or the Windows firewall data that we also collect, and it has a malicious IP, in a second we are able to enrich this data. We also add geolocation to this data, so you would be able to locate this threat on the map. And if we have this, we provide you full report of what's going on with this threat. So we don't just tell you that you have a malicious IP, but we tell you a little bit more of that. So sometimes we just know that it's botnet. But in many cases, we are able to tell you much more on that. We can tell you that this is a specific adversary. So let's see this in action. So you have the overview of the threat data here, but I would click on the threat intelligence dashboard to see the entire richness. Now, this shows just for the last 1 day, and this is real data. It's not a mock-up. So I would go through the last 7 days to see a little bit more data. And again, this is a real thing. How I get all this malicious traffic? How I get all this malware into my servers? Very easily. I will teach it to you tomorrow in more details. But basically, what you need to do is just expose a server to the internet and add a user called admin. And you can pick a password that someone could guess. Go to any password list and just pick another one, so you would have all this richness up with you. So I can click on each one of them, and I can see the result. What is this thing? So I have 50 requests inbound from Iceland. Iceland is a pretty small nation. I don't think that there are so many people really sending requests from there. Now you can see that we identify this as a botnet, and whoops, so not this one. And I want to see the actual requests. So sorry for that. So I can click on the incoming here. And I can see the record. This one's coming from a Cisco ASA server log. And I can actually see the request. I can see what is the destination IP address, which server is relevant. This is coming from my firewall. But I have records from all types. So let's see other example. Here I have in Indonesia. Now, because it's real data, it's very hard for me to demo it because I never know what's coming up. So yesterday, OK, I have IRC bot here. Let's see if I have something interesting. So in this case, I have actually full report on this adversaries. OK, not a good example. So when we have data, so for botnets, it's useless to give you more data because you don't know what to do with that. You have nothing to do with that. But in many other cases, we are able to show you exactly what is who is attacking you and why they are doing that. Oh, here. It's another. So this, for example, this is PonyLoader. PonyLoader is a known adversary. They have their attack system. They have a typical system they like to attack, they usually have a typical damage that they are doing. So you can have a detail and look at that. No, hope I would. OK, so I get a nice PDF here that has a lot of data inside. So it's much easier when you come to your CEO and tell him, we are being hacked. It's much easier when you have a little bit of more details to tell about who is this adversaries and what they are doing. So you would see adversaries that usually have specific targets. And in many cases, you are the collateral damage. It's good to know that. And it's also good to know that you are the kind of organization that they are attacking. Another interesting thing is outgoing traffic to a malicious IP. From your server, you shouldn't have that. So we actually worked pretty hard to add it here, because there is no chance that someone on your server is going out and browsing for malicious sites. There is absolutely no reason that you would have outgoing traffic from any one of your servers to a botnet. Trust me, if you see the red push pins here, it's a problem you need to take care of. So we want to do even better than that. We don't want just to show you the data and to correlate it. We want also to give you insights, more high-level stuff about what's going on. So we have several mechanisms for that. The first one is called notable issues. Notable issues are basically things in your system that you should take care about. You should just want to look at them and make sure that everything is OK. And we have a very wide array of this stuff. So we show you stuff coming from all kinds of servers and all kinds of solutions in OMS. So for example, if the AD assessment was running and had a security recommendation, you would see it here. Now this list is up to you to customize. So you can take any search query and turn it into a notable issue. So this is also how you can build your own security data inside your system. And then when you click on it, you can turn every one of them into a security alert. We don't do it by default because that would create a huge noise in your system. The second thing we are doing, which is much more sophisticated, is the advanced detection analytic. We have this huge, it's actually a huge pipeline that looks through all your security data and try to find hacks. How we do this? Some of this is pretty standard. I will show you an example. Some of this is more advanced. So we have a whole team of security researchers that are looking for all the stuff that is going on up there. And they write patterns that defines attacks. Now, the nice thing about that, many systems have that. Many vendors have this solution. But none of them have this auto-update. So when our security researchers are looking at a new attack that is published, these guys go to Black Hat and they read all these security logs. And when they see something new, they just add it to the system. And we are doing this in a pretty sophisticated way, because we don't want to make too many false positives. So we have a whole a whole team of machine learning scientists, of data scientists doing machine learning and all kinds of other techniques. They are looking for the data. And our goal is to have very, very low false positive and to have very, very high true positive, which defines a good detection mechanism. So these things are not simple queries. They are not like, if you see X, do Y. They are much more sophisticated than that. And the important thing about them is that they are always updated. So as I said, many systems allow you to define these complex rules of detections. But once you define them, they are there. And usually when I talk to customers, I ask them, when was the last time you update the rules? So sometimes some customers tell me, when I bought the system like 2 years ago. So everything that is going on the internet in the last 2 years doesn't have any answer on your system. And some customers tell me, hey, I'm good. I have this consultant that is coming every 6 months and updating these queries. Now, the problem with that is, first of all, you have this 6 months. Lots of stuff happened. Think about how much stuff happened in the last 2 months. I don't know if you know, I will talk about it tomorrow in a little bit more details. The hacks in the DNC, in the Democratic National Convention, was published. And our security researchers went through that. We actually had good coverage for that. So we are very happy with what we can do with that. But they found another pattern of PowerShell that we haven't seen before, and they added it to the system. That happened just like 2 months ago. And we keep on updating, and we keep on making it fresh, because your attackers are also fresh. When they find something new, they try to use it. Another thing we have with the advanced detection, we are fully integrated with Microsoft ATA, Advanced Threat Analytics. So you have Advanced Threat Analytics. You just need to put the OMS agent on the ATA center, and it would pull all the detections to OMS, so we will have them visible. Let's see this in action. So here you have the attacks. Now, as much as I try to have people attacking my deployment, I don't have so many real attackers. Some of them is stuff that I simulate. But so if all goes well for you, and again, this is a system with very, very low false positives. So everything, if you don't see anything, don't fear. It's probably OK. If you see that you are collecting the records, if you see here that you have all the data inside OMS and you have all these records, then you are fine. As I tell everyone, when you come back home and you turn the key, you don't expect to see burglar on the other side. So let's see examples for what we are able to detect. So this is my favorite. This is suspicious SVC host. Many attackers, when they run their code, they don't want it to be very visible, so they change the name to svchost.exe. Actually, many attackers do this completely automatic over script. So this is why it is good technique for us to catch it. Now, and as you see, this one was running the stuff from ctemp. And again, this was me running that. But we actually see this kind of thing happen. Now, if you go through the literature, you would find like 5 different methods how to catch a malicious SVC host. We check each one of them. So these are the trivial rules, the rules that you can imagine how we are doing things. We have things that are more interesting to go. For example, we have stuff like double extension. If you have on your system, for example, this admin was executing, and again, that was me, document.pdf.exe. You know what it is? It is your admin tricked to open a PDF. Because in many times you have the .exe hidden, so it looks like document.pdf, and the exe file have something very similar to a PDF logo. So many admins are tricked for that. Again, this is something that we check on a specific record. Let me show you something that is more interesting. I promised you that we look for all the brute force, and you would have tons of brute force. But if you listened well and you went and eliminate all the admin, the users that named admin, and administrators and test, and there are like 4 different ones, and you eliminate them throughout the system, then You don't want to get alarms on all these brute force because they are not interesting. But what happens if you have a brute force on a user that really exists on your system? This is interesting. Usually it shows you that someone is targeting your organization. And again, in these servers, I have I manually added admin. If you know, Azure doesn't allow you by default to have that. So I went into each one of them and added that to have interesting attacks. Even more interesting is is successful RDP brute force. So what is successful RDP brute force? We look for failed attempts, and then we try to cross-correlate them for successful attempts. So we can see many attempts executed, and then we have a success. This is a sign for something that is going on. Again, I have this in my tenant mainly because I have this very trivial password and trivial admin names. But it happens in real time. It happened to real customers. Not much, but it happened. And this kind of sophisticated rules can find that. Now, we don't expose the full list of rules that we have because we have a lot of them. We have several hundreds of patterns that we are checking. And the reason is that we don't want to help the other side. So you can assume that all the trivial stuff that everyone are checking, we have that. And we also have some more complex stuff at your dispense. And here you get the notable issues. And as you can see, you have the completely generic ones about missing security updates. And you also have this one that I added. It's the CEO logins. CEO is myself. And as you can see, I logged into my server quite a lot over the last 7 days. So it is up to you to decide what you want to do here. And every time you click here, you basically go to the security search that was crafted for this specific notable issue. So it's up to you to decide. You can put there whatever you want. And again, you can click on the alert and turn this into an alert. So we have a couple of more minutes. It is important for me to conclude and to leave some time for questions. So before I do that, I just want to mention Azure Security Center. So our team is doing actually 2 products. One is Azure Security Center that is focused on Azure resources. Now the detection engine that I showed you is the same one. So you get exactly the same kind of detections. But this is focusing on Azure servers. OMS Security, on the other hand, is focusing on more servers. The good news is that we are bringing them closer together and we are merging them to the single thing. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, but we are working on that. So you would have the best thing of Azure Security Center and the best thing of OMS Security in one place. Now, here's the call to action to you guys. I want you guys to play with that. So all you need to do is go to oms.microsoft.com, sign in. There is on the top right, there is sign in button. And you can get up and running in minutes. So even if you don't go to my session tomorrow where I actually do that, exactly that, you can get it up and running in minutes. And it doesn't cost you anything. You can start with free tier. And then when you think that it's working well for your servers, you can go up and purchase that. The free tier is limited in the volume of data. So if you have about 5 servers, that's fine, even a little bit more than that. And even if you have a lot of servers, it would be capped after you go to, I think, 0.5 GB of data per day. So you can have this, you can see this on your system. The implications, you can add your sandbox and all whatever servers that you have that you use to play with and try new stuff on. Or, and this is what I'm doing also, I am having my laptop sending data. So this is very useful because laptops are a very noisy thing and they are doing a lot of stuff. And I'm able to open nice bugs for the developers. So I have my laptop sending data to one of the test tenants. Now we keep on adding, and this is the nice thing in the product. We'll keep on adding more stuff, and you can have all the data in the OMS security blog. So it's actually the OMS blog, and we have security tag for the security-related stuff. So aka ms/OMS sec blog, and you would get all the latest feature and all the data and a lot of tools about that. We, of course, have TechNet site and a lot of resources. We even have a YouTube channel if you want to see stuff. And there are lots of resources to help you get up quickly. We have a lot of more stuff in Ignite this week about OMS security. And again, I talked about my session that would show you, basically I would take through the installation and setting of everything. But there are sessions this week about every aspect of OMS. And you know, it's Ignite, everything is recorded. If you're watching this afterwards or you just don't have time because you have other sessions, you can watch them after. So we have all these sessions for you. And we also have the standard Microsoft resources. So thank you very much. That was an hour. I would be here to take questions if you want. I would be on the floor on the OMS. There is an OMS security booth in the security area in the Microsoft Expo downstairs. So I would be there in 4 p.m. So you can come there between 4 and 5 and ask me any question. I'm here for the next few minutes. Let me know if you have anything. Please fill your evaluation, especially if you like the session.